Welcome back to a new series where I go through every AFL game from the previous round. This season, or this video, as you can see, I've already made a mistake. It's going to be uncut, these videos. I'm doing the pre-season. Now, pre-season doesn't matter, but I'm still going to do them. Now, I just recorded all of this video, but I didn't plug in the mic. So I've already recorded this whole thing. We're going to do it again. These will come out every Monday. I'm filming them every Sunday night. I wanted to go through some pre-season games, and with these videos we're going to talk about the big winners, the big losers. Yes, it's pre-season, which doesn't matter, but you do learn teams, game styles, players, tactics, experiments, and there are winners and losers from pre-season, whether you like it or not. Sometimes it can give us a good indication of where a team's at, and sometimes it's a complete facade. You think, oh man, that team got dominated in pre-season, they come out round one, and they beat the reigning premiers. So take all this video with a grain of salt until we get to round 0. No round 1. Starting off with Richmond and Melbourne. I've got my laptop there, which is, if you're wondering why I'm looking over there. Richmond, Melbourne. Richmond 117, Melbourne 94. Really free-flowing game. What this taught us is my team Richmond, we seem to be more attacking and free-flowing, as Adam Uze promised. You know, as a new coach, it's a lot of weight on his shoulders trying to, do anything that Dimmer did, He's taking over one of the greatest coaches in recent history. And they looked good. 18 goals, 9, so really accurate, really free-flowing. The defence was good, albeit we conceded 94 points. Melbourne looked pretty good. Clayton Oliver looked amazing against the VFL Richmond side. There were 2 portions of this game. And some of these were, quite a few of these games were like AFL, and then the second half was VFL. And some of them not. Cosy Pickett took a great mark as well. Overall, not much to learn here. Maybe this is just a reflection of where Melbourne is right now, given the culture problems, the drug problems, the Joel Smith trafficking stuff, the Clayton Oliver and Simon Goodwin accusations. Maybe it's just a reflection that right now in this last week or two, Melbourne have just found it hard to concentrate on the game style they wanted to implement in pre-season. And by the way, for these videos, you're going to be hearing a lot more stuff like that, because they cut out usually all the shit. Second game, North Melbourne dominated Collingwood, scoring 102 points to their 68, which is fantastic football from North Melbourne. Collingwood looked depleted, definitely a premiership hangover, which they have every right to be. Not too fussed about this game because Collingwood are coming off. They have had 5 weeks less rest than North Melbourne because they had played, all the finals, including technically 4, sorry. Not 5. I thought there was a bye week before the grand final. Harry Sheezer looked so good. He looks so promising. Smokey for the Brownlow? Maybe. Clarko looks like he's got a great team going there, young, with some experienced heads around them. LDU Simpkin looking great. Nick Larkey. They've got a good set of young core players. Like I just said, Sheezel, LDU, Simpkin, Zerha, Larkey. I feel like with North Melbourne, if they can land a really good key defender alongside another good just defender in general, they could be on for finals next year. Does this reflect anything? I think it more so reflects the fact Collingwood are probably just a bit tired and they wouldn't care too much. And I think North Melbourne just would have been excited to play football, to be honest. Next round, it's kind of annoying how a lot of these games, in fact all of them that can be, are the derby games. Sydney, GWS, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Port Adelaide, West Coast Freo. It makes sense financially, you don't have to catch a flight, but I kind of don't like it because I like those rivalry games to be in the AFL season, not the pre-season. It takes the sting out of it. Sydney beat GWS, probably the most normal result. If this was a result you saw in the normal AFL season, you would understand it. Home game for Sydney, technically speaking, although they did play at Tramway Oval. What a name. Anyway, Sydney won 112 to GWS's 86, high scoring. Sydney were free flowing. They looked good without Buddy Franklin. The forward line seemed to be functioning well with Logan McDonald and other names there. GWS probably just, I don't know, maybe they were just outplayed, but I think these are 2 teams who are going to feature in the finals, maybe the prelims. So it was one of the highest quality games of footy on the weekend, I thought. We got Carlton and Geelong next. Carlton, one of the surprise results here. Probably after North Melbourne Collingwood, the second biggest surprise, maybe third. Carlton kicked 8 goals, 56 points to Geelong's 10 goals, 73. Carlton looked slow. Geelong looked good. Does this tell us anything about Carlton? I don't think so. It might tell us a bit about Geelong. And maybe Geelong are being underrated. Maybe they are being looked over, looked upon. They're just being ignored a little bit for this, you know. You talk about top 8, not flag favourites, but you talk about top 8. Could they sneak in there? I mean, based off that performance, maybe they looked good defensively. I know you conceding 56 points. Still, their attack wasn't amazing. I mean, 73 points is decent. But Carlton, 4th lowest score of the round, pretty poor. Brisbane, Gold Coast next. And this was a game that I knew was going to happen. Or the scoreline I knew was going to happen. I'm going to hold the mic like this to see if I like it. Gold Coast with the whole new system. I mean, Brisbane, how many years under Fagan now? 5, 6, 7 years. They are a well-oiled machine. They are a system that knows what they're doing. This is normal for them. Absolutely normal. Free-flowing, high-scoring football. For the Gold Coast Suns, you've got a whole new system with a whole new coach, with a whole bunch of new players who are playing different roles. Alex Sexton, for example. It was bound to be a thrashing. 55 points. Gold Coast to Brisbane's 102. So that is I can't do maths. 57-point victory. Which is no, it's not the biggest. It's one of the biggest, the second biggest. It was pretty stock standard. Gold Coast just looked like they were finding their feet. Brisbane looked like they'd been doing it for years, which they have been. Nothing to learn there. A lot to learn from this next game. The Bulldogs, 16 goals, 12, 108 points, defeated Hawthorn, 12 goals, 11 points at 83. 108 to 83, that is a 25-point difference. But it's not what it seems. Hawthorn looked awful. The first half, at the start of the game, the Dogs were running rampant against Hawthorn. I'm a bit concerned now. I've been so bullish with the Hawks, saying they're going to finish top 10. Say Mitch Lewis going to get the Coleman. Dylan Moore's making All-Australian. Sicily's the best defender currently. All of these things, just to be disappointed. I think the thing with Hawthorn is there's a reason. They have had so many injuries the last couple of weeks. Some season-ending ones. Some major hamstring ones to players like CJ. Big injuries. So currently their defence is looking so depleted. And that's why they conceded 108 points. The Dogs, if that was a real game, they probably could have won by 100 points. Concerning for Hawthorn. For the Dogs, you don't learn much. Once again, they're a system that have been intact for ages. Hawthorn's still a young team learning the rigours of AFL football, you can say. But I'm a bit concerned for Hawthorn. Should they look at moving a Chol or a Gunston down back? Maybe something radical like that, because right now, something's got to change in that back line. But I back Sam Mitchell in, and I back the Hawks to maybe finish top 12 now, given all their injuries. But I think that game does teach us a lot. So does the next game, arguably my biggest disappointment in a team this pre-season game. Pre-season games are important sometimes, in some respects, like I've said, but grain of salt, you take it with. Essendon lost 5 goals 10, 40 points to St Kilda 16 goals 10, 106. So contrasting. St Kilda, really accurate, 16 goals 10, and high scoring, free flowing. They looked phenomenal up forward. Players were on song. Essendon looked slow, lethargic. They looked hopeless, lack of skills. They looked shit. Scoring 40 points was the lowest amount of points scored. The next worst being West Coast at 46, who are one of the worst teams in history and scored 5 goals, 16 points, which we'll talk about. Sorry, I just had a pizza. We'll talk about a little bit later. That was really bad. Really bad from Essendon. Both these teams overperformed in 2023. If you watched the YouTube channel, you would have seen previously... Sorry for that shake. I've just put my foot down. You would have seen previously that I've done a video talking about statistically which teams are destined for greatness in 2024. Shout out to Jizzle. And I talked about how statistically St Kilda and Essendon were really bad in 2024. Now, in saying that, you can still be poor statistics-wise and do something, as St Kilda showed last season, but I was really disappointed in Essendon here, and I think it could be a long season for Essendon fans. Let me know in the comments, though, if you're any fan of this team, but particularly Essendon fans, what are your thoughts on this game? Because it wasn't good. Next up, the Adelaide games. Really common here. A scoreline many people would have seen. I mean, yes, it was a draw, 93-93, but high scoring with young players, young talents. Both Adelaide teams look like they're going to make finals. Both have great young cores with some experienced heads. The difference is Port Adelaide have a coach who hasn't proven it yet, but he has had the opportunity to prove it in Ken Hinkley. But Adelaide has a coach who hasn't proven it yet, but he's young and he hasn't had a chance to. So I'm more bullish on Adelaide for that reason alone. I get a lot of comments about how I hate Ken Hinkley. I don't. But if you've been in the AFL system for 10 years and you haven't made a grand final yet, full stop. And if you're Port Adelaide, if you had a different coach, if you got Dimmer at the right time, you would have won a couple of flags by now. That was a good game, really high scoring. I liked Rosie as captain. I liked the way Adelaide played. And overall, I just learnt those two teams will make finals. Last game, we've got the Perth derby, West Coast versus Fremantle. I mean, contrasting. Fremantle, not accurate, but 14 goals, 14 at 98 points. Defeated West Coast, 5 goals, 16. I've already mentioned it, 46 points. Fremantle had 28 scoring shots to West Coast 21, so not a crazy difference. I mean, West Coast, you would think, just try and score a bit more, but it's pretty much expected. I mean, do you learn anything about Fremantle here? No. Do you learn anything about West Coast? Not really. It's just going to be a long season for West Coast. People might get ahead of themselves with Fremantle here, but I'm not. Yeah, they're the games. The big losers are Essendon for me and Hawthorn. The big winners are St Kilda and North Melbourne. I think they looked really good. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. This will come out every week. Round 0 is coming up. Different type of content, more podcast style, just talking about the games. Not too focused about the stats and stuff at this because it is pre-season. I'm not going to go into crazy depth researching because at the end of the day it doesn't matter. But interesting nonetheless. Yeah, I'll see you next week. Different style content. I've little nip slip there. Yeah, I've got the mic on this time, so hopefully you can actually hear me. Thank you much for watching, and I'll see you in another video.